Hey everybody, I hope and pray that you're doing well. Today as we come to our word from the word. And today that word is accountable. Accountable. Now just since we left off yesterday, we see that Moses comes down from Mount Sinai. And he comes down, and as him and Joshua are coming down, they hear this sound and they say, well, it sounds like a war is going on. And Moses says, it sounds, I hear singing. And they come down and they see that all the people, the Israelites, have made this golden calf, and they're up dancing, praising, and worshiping it instead of God. Now, Moses is probably, he has been in one of the most holy environments for the last 40 days. And to come out, he could experience a little bit of what the anger and wrath of God felt like, because even as he saw it, he took the stone tablets that had the law that God had just given him. And this is the words of God penned by the finger of God. And he gets upset, and in his anger, he throws it down, breaks the two tablets at the base of the mountain. But see, the law had already been broken. Before he even brought it down, they had already broken the things that God was telling the people to do. They'd already turned their backs on him. And again, we find today Moses interceding on their behalf. And I want you to hear what he says, because there's something that God also says that should make us ever mindful of what we do. Exodus chapter 32, starting in verse 31, says, Then Moses returned to the Lord and said, Oh, these people have committed a great sin and have made for themselves a god of gold. Yet now, if you will forgive their sin, but if not, I pray, blot me out of your book which you have written. And the Lord said to Moses, Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot him out of my book. Now therefore go, lead the people to the place of which I have spoken to you. Behold, my angels shall go before you. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit for punishment, I will visit punishment upon them for their sin. Now, there's something worth noting here, is what God is saying is that all will be held accountable for their sin. You and I will all be held accountable for our sin. Now you say, no, wait a minute, I thought Christ, took care of that sin on the cross. He did. But see, if you haven't placed your faith and trust in Jesus Christ, then when you stand before God, you will not have the blood of Jesus covering you. And so that means that you will be held accountable for your sin. And when Jesus' blood doesn't cover it, then you will spend an eternity in hell. But see, also believers, we can't use that as an excuse just to sin because the blood has covered it. No, Paul talks about that so much in Romans. We can't just spit on the face of God and just sin openly and willingly just because it's covered under grace. No. See, the thing is that we'll still have to answer for the things that we've done and can lose rewards. And just to think that you'd be standing before God having to tell him all the ways that you turned against him. It's amazing to think that so often we think that maybe we get away with stuff. And I think the Israelites at this point in time, they probably thought that they had gotten away with some stuff. As God leads them out and they're leaving, I imagine that they probably thought, okay, well, we kind of got away with something there. But did you catch what God said? He says, on the day that I visit again, punishment. The Christian Standard Version, Holman Christian Standard, I believe it's that version. It says that, on the day that I settle accounts. In other words, we're all going to have to be held accountable. And whether or not today that you maybe feel like you're getting away with something, I'm telling you, God knows. You might hide it from everybody, but you're not going to hide it from God. See, if you look back even before this, in between yesterday's passage and today's, see that 3,000 people died. 3,000 in a single day. So I believe that a lot of the people probably already thought that they had escaped. The ones that were still alive thought that they had escaped. But see, they were going to be held accountable. But again, as we talk to prayer, it's the idea that Moses here again interceding. God, please forgive us. Lord, I beg as we talked about Sunday with Hosea. Lord, I pray that you would forgive us, restore us to that right relationship. And maybe today that's what you need to understand, is that you will be held accountable. So why not right now settle that account? Turn your life over to Christ. Quit trying to live for the world and live for Him. No, leave the world behind and live for God. Settle it right now. The Bible tells us if we ask forgiveness, He's faithful and just to forgive us and cleanse us of all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9. Used that so much here in the past several weeks. But it is so true, and it's such a reminder for us to know that yes, we will be held accountable, but why don't we settle those accounts now? Why don't we let it be settled by the blood of Jesus? And see, with that, there's still this underlying theme of intercessory prayer, that Moses is going to the Lord on behalf of the people. We'll talk about tomorrow about that relationship between Moses and God. But I want us to understand there's always a time for us to pray. Even if it's not just for us, we're praying for others. It's always a time. We don't know what's coming ahead. Even as Moses was there in one of the holiest times in his life, those 40 days in the presence of God, listening to the instruction of God, and he comes down from the mountain and boom, he's faced with the sin of his people, seeing how people had so quickly turned away. I mean, this is the same thing as Jesus is going out into the wilderness as his earthly ministry is beginning, and he's tempted by Satan. It's the same thing. No matter where you are today in your relationship with God, we have to know that there is temptation coming. There's a storm on the horizon. So let's take time to pray today to prepare, not only for tomorrow, but let's prepare for what might be in store for us today. Because if we know we're going to be held accountable for what we do today, we need to spend time in prayer before the day is out. God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.